We going solo. Oh, isn't that a song? I'm going solo. I'm going solo.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any further. Chances are you're probably already recording.
I am.
Oh, yeah, that's great. There you go. All right. As I'm getting a text. Oh, I like it. Everyone will know what I'm talking about in a second. But hey, everybody, Jared James here. Welcome to this episode, a very special episode of Today with Jared James. Tom, do we eventually just do do we switch the name and just say the Jared James Show?
Eventually, probably, maybe.
I'm saying, what would that process look like?
Well, we would probably go online and then change the name.
Oh, I feel like you are this is going into the prick mode right now, okay? I'm not used to this from you. No, but is it actually possible? And the reason I'm asking is, we were just talking about, we got some big stuff coming in the coaching space, which I'm not going to talk a lot about. Maybe I'll bring up today about where our heads are at, but I'm not going to talk a lot about it. But we were talking about changing the name of the Facebook group, and right now it's Jared James Coaching, but I wanted to change it to something else. And Facebook Meta will not allow me because there's too many people. First world problems. But it will not allow us.
What a terrible problem.
I know. And like I said, I'm not complaining. I mean, I am complaining, but I'm not hey, I don't know what that is, but
that's what you do when you
that's when you want people to change your Facebook group. You make that noise.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I'm not doing that. I'm just kind of I just want to change it. There's some things like Instagram or other things, you have a certain number of times you could change it. It won't even let us change it now. It's like the Titanic or that movie, Too Big to Fail.
I was gonna Titanic, the movie Titanic.
Yeah. Well, I got a story about that, by the way.
All right.
But it's like that.
A lot of people do.
That movie Too Big to Fail. My Titanic story, by the way. So every other day, guys, I do cardio, and then on the off days, I do actual workouts. And not that cardio is not a workout, but I just do cardio. I go for a run, whatever. And I had a buddy in town who I did the podcast with last week. Dan Stewart, and I made him go to the gym with me, which he is now going to the gym. He joined a gym at home, and he is going to the gym now, okay?
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Very good for him. And so my gym has a theater, and so instead of running outside, because, you can't expect someone they might be faster than you, they might be slower than you, they're a different pace. It's tough to run outside with someone. But on a treadmill, although treadmills suck, it's we can do this. So we go into the theater, and it's Titanic. And I have not watched a lot of Titanic. I've seen parts of it. I've seen what would be a full movie for any other movie.
Right.
But Titanic has a whole other movie left.
Yes.
Because it's just long.
Yes.
And there's a scene in the movie.
A lot of them. Yep.
Are you going to act like you don't know what I'm talking
about? Where everybody's running?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. There is a new day.
Oh, yeah. Of course there is. Yeah.
Okay? Of course there is.
Yeah, you gotta paint me like one of your French girls.
I did not know this.
That's the line.
I did not know this.
Oh, man, yeah.
Okay? And I did not know this. I am not a Titanic aficionado. And so I look up, and we're doing the treadmill, and I'm just there, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, he's an artist? Okay, whatever. And then, she drops the thing, but it shows her back. So I don't know how it happens in the real movie, but it shows her back, and I'm like, oh, they're doing I thought the movie was PG-13. There's no way it's PG-13. After what I saw, there's no way it's PG-13, okay?
Different time,
Yeah.
Different time.
Yeah, back when we respected PG-13, okay? And so next thing I know, I look up. I think most people know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? I could have come here with my children. I could be on this treadmill with what the heck? And they just right there in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Just booby everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is just normal. It's
art.
It's art. Well, it wasn't the picture they showed, Tom. It was, yeah. So I was not expecting that because, again, I've gone there. Just the week before, I was on that same treadmill with my son. Do you know how awkward that would have been?
Yes.
I think he would have ran a little longer, okay? About as long as that scene would go on. Let's just say that. Even if the run was done, I think I got more, Dad. I got more. Are we even running right now? Are we even, what's happening? Is anything happening other than this?
You did the showers. I'm going to stay here.
He probably would have fallen off the thing, just lose whatever, and just tumbled off the back or something. I saw someone do that the other day. Oh, you're making a face like that. I'm laughing hysterically.
No, because that's actually something that because I've also been going to the gym recently, and one of the things that I do is I try to I start off with the treadmill. I have been thinking about that lately.
I've almost fallen several times.
Yeah,
it's not a large room for error. Mm-hmm. You little step to the right, little step to the left. You're no longer on the zoom.
Nope.
I've more than once caught myself, or you go too fast, or all of a sudden you realize you're right on the edge because it feels different in the back, and I'm like, I don't know if I have the skills for this. Yeah. It's anyway, props to that person if you're watching this or you're listening to this, because you did like any good human being would do, ignored all injury, hopped right back on like nothing happened. And I am laughing. Like I can't, because I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, and I know what we're supposed to act like. And because I know this is going on and I'm processing it, I can't stop laughing. I'm like, it's the right move. It doesn't matter if your leg's hanging off.
Yeah.
You get up and you trot. Even if it's a one-legged, who was the guy who killed the woman, the one-legged runner guy who had the other leg, the Blade Runner kid? If you got to pull that, you whatever you got to do. You know what I'm saying? We're all hopscotching. What's that thing called? The potato bags, whatever? What was that called?
Oh, yeah, the sack race or whatever it is.
You sack race that thing on the treadmill if you have to at that point.
Yeah.
You certainly don't lay there.
I would love for somebody to just lay there.
What's sad is that means they're hurt. But but then again, isn't it worth it? The price of comedy. I mean, I don't want them to be permanently hurt, but man, you never till you see someone tumble off of you don't know what danger you're in when you're on that thing until you see it happen to someone else, and then you're like, wait, I didn't sign a waiver. This danger has been here all along. One misstep, and I'm tumbling like oh.
There's a lot of video proof on YouTube of that as well. So,
my God. Yeah. So anyway, I don't remember why I brought any of that up. Do you remember?
No.
All right. Well, here we go. Anyway, hello, Tom.
Hey, how's it going? 2 weeks in a row of saying hi.
I have always addressed you until we are off camera, and then I don't even know you.
Right.
Okay. There's people out there who actually think that's true, and they would be right.
They would just accepted that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
So we're doing a solo pod today. I've got a lot to talk about. We're coming off our pod last week, episode last week with Dan Stewart, which I loved, guys. Guys, so many just pearls of wisdom on there. Like, you just need to go watch it and just listen. And he made a comment that we're gonna, he's our main sponsor at the Advance. It's not why he was on the podcast, because he's one of my friends. I'd have him on regardless. He was in town, so let's do it. But the man has started 7 companies, and most of them failed. But then he's got a few of them that just worked out really well. And that's the story you don't hear from people, And, Dan is the master communicator, but he's a master at relationships. And so when you look at what he does with his company, Happy Grasshopper, where really what they do is they take that database, for people who are at the next level, they actually have a database. If you were to ask those people how many know that they have wasted potential in that database, everybody raises their hand. And that's what Dan does. That's what Happy Grasshopper does, is that they really master that, awakening those dead souls within that database, And he's really great at it. And he made a comment, and he said, look, contacts are worthless, but relationships are priceless. And look, obviously contacts aren't worthless because they lead to relationships, but contacts just left there dead are worthless. Having a large database is worthless. Having a big following on social is worthless. It's all worthless until you do something with it, And relationships are priceless, but relationships require conversation. And my God, guys, I've had so many things happening the last couple of weeks. We've got so many big things coming. We've got, I can't even talk about, and that's what bothers me. I was
on a platform for talking.
I know, but it's private stuff,
I get it.
And I don't mean private from like it's a personal. I just mean like it's business stuff that's just not to be talked about yet. I was talking to my older son this morning. I was breaking it all down for him, and I was teaching this concept to him. Relationships, conversation, and. He's about to actually start an internship this summer. He wants to get into the industry. And so he's 17, going to be 18, and he wants to get into the industry. And, my buddy Byron Lazine, who's one of the co-founders of BAM Media. You guys see me sometimes do videos for BAM and such. He used to live in Connecticut. He still some part-time does sometimes, but he really moved up to Naples during COVID. And he still comes back here every month and, whatever. But he runs his team. And actually, I texted him right before this, and I said, what's the name of your team? And Byron did not just send me the name of his team. He sent me the Real Trends Verified #1 team in Connecticut. So that ain't just any old team.
That's true.
Okay, that's the team. But they're actually called the One Team, which makes sense because if you're called the One Team and you're in 3rd place, you might have been renamed. You might have been misnamed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
3 place.
Yeah. We are the runner-ups, my friend.
My acquaintance.
No song. There's no song for that,
no,
right?
there's not.
So, second time I've sang on this pod. Anyway, so my boy Grayson is going to be doing an internship at the One Team, and he's going to be doing half real estate stuff, and then he's going to be doing half with BAM Media, and learning that side, the media side, and the social side, and all that kind of stuff, which I'm super excited about. He's super excited about. But how does that happen? Relationships. Right? Byron and I are talking about whatever. I'm talking about my kids like I tend to do. And he's just like, what? He's looking for whatever? Have him come do it with us. Internship. Bring him here. No discussion. No, just done. And some of you would listen to that and go, see, it's who you know. Yes, it is. It's who you know. It always is who you know. That's why we talk about the power of proximity. That's why we talk about within your business, the various ways to create relationship with those builders, relationship with those community leaders, relationship with those PTO, those relationships because it is who you know. And don't get mad when someone else does it because you don't know them. That just means you haven't done your job. Like, at the end of the day, contacts are worthless, relationships are priceless, but relationships require, ding, 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 conversation. And so that led to my boy getting a chance to kind of like sit behind and learn and learn from these different industries, media and real estate and those things. And so, really excited about that. There's just a lot of really cool things happening right now. A lot of really cool things happening around. There's just a lot going on in everywhere, in the real estate space, in the non-real estate space. I mean, I can't drive up and down the Post Road without seeing just closure after closure after closure after closure. Oh, yeah. I keep being told how great the economy is, and then I drive up and down the road, and I'm like, oh, that's gone forever? We used to take them there for, oh my God, half of these places are closed. And not for nothing, we knew this was coming. Like, post-COVID, I said this after post-COVID because everybody's like, look at that. COVID wasn't that bad. These places are still open. They were getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from the government to stay open, literally to stay open. And I said back then, and we're seeing it now, when that money runs out, what do you do? And a lot of those places are now, I saw a thing, Chili's is going out of business. I've brought my kids there for years.
Oh, my God.
Like, it literally saddens me. I don't know if you're joking or you're serious.
No, I love Chili's.
That's my spot with my boys. We walk in, they know exactly what to bring us. We don't say anything. We get the triple dipper. I don't know what it's called, okay? I'm pretty sure I just said dicker. Yeah. But we get that thing, okay? And the meals we get, I get off of the guilt-free menu. The margarita grilled chicken. Rice and beans. Delightful.
Gotta get those crispers, man. If you're not getting the crispers, what are you doing?
You know what? The crispers were good, and we used to get those. Yeah. We get the boneless buffalo, though, with the triple.
Yeah, same thing.
Love it.
Same thing.
Love it, okay? Apparently people don't love it as much as we do, Tom. Because, I didn't think about this, but I found out a couple years ago, because I yearn for the day I can sit at the bar with the kids. Mm-hmm. Not to drink, just because I like that audience. I like that watching a game, talking to the people you're with, bantering with the bartender. I love that. I'm going to go to dinner later today, sit at a bar, and not even drink. Like, I'm just going to have water and do whatever. Like, I'm just like, not for the drink, it's just for... So I found out at Chili's, and in most places, you can actually sit at the high tables behind the bar. And they don't sit those when people come in and they're waiting for seats for whatever reason. So we found out you jump the line, apparently no line anymore, but you jump the line and just go to that area and just sit at the table. Good to go. It's like this little cheat code nobody knew about. And I should have put 2 and 2 together, but for the past 2 years, we go in and get the same table every time. And now that I think about it, why is that table available every time? Maybe because you're going out of business.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm a little sad about that. Family Dollar and Dollar Tree closing over 600 stores. Dollar doesn't go as far as it used to.
That is true.
Rue 21, CVS 315 locations, 7-Eleven 272 locations. You know, like
Sam Ash has gone the whole thing.
dude, it's just, you know, when you look at all of the CVS's and Rite Aids in our area that are going out of business, a bunch of them just closed.
Yep.
You're like, how? What? And then you start thinking about it, and you think about your behavior. And it's just like I've been saying in real estate. Like, people aren't going to stop using agents, but how they do it is going to change. Same thing. Like, when you look at the products in CVS, we're still buying them. We're just Amazoning them. Like, I Amazon them. I don't go into... So I'm part of the... Not the problem. I guess that's just innovation. That's what it is. But I'm part of the reason that they're closing. It's just not... It's not a... You know, we had a Sam's Club in our area, remember? And the whole thing went away. And what filled its spot? Amazon.
Yeah. Same thing with Sears.
Huge. Yeah, like this is just the way of it's the way of the world, man. And like, on one hand, I get it and I agree with it from the business side, but then you just get so, like, you know, not romantic. What's the word? Nostalgic about, you know, it's not going to look the same now. You know, Express is closing 105 locations, Walgreens 77 locations, Macy's 51 locations. Some of these places, I don't know how they've stayed in business this long.
Yeah.
You go online for everything. I mean, my God, when I went to Mexico, and now getting ready to go to Arizona, we go on Shein and get our... I never even knew about that. Yeah. Dude, I got like 15 pairs of swim trunks. They were all like $7 a piece. Amazing. Yeah. Almost all of them amazing. Yep. I'm like, $7? And I was going into Macy's and paying $38. Like, what are we doing here, you know? So, guys, that's just supply and demand. It is what it is. Like, that's just... It is what it is, okay?
It is what it is.
And so that's something that's going on right now. We've been seeing in the real estate space, you know, I did a video a few months ago, and I talked about the Great Migration and how you're about to see the Great Migration. And I talked about how you're also going to see a lot of M&As, which is mergers and acquisitions. And that was for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of trouble in the industry. People are hurting. But also, you know, when you've got these companies that are, you know, above $2 billion that are still on the hook for these settlements that they never agreed to, a lot of times what's going to happen is they're going to merge into companies that have already paid the settlement. And so, you know, you saw that, you know, when Compass took over, bought, which I'm forgetting the name right now, but I'll think about it in a little bit. And we're starting to see this with more of them. You know, United just took over its second brokerage in Texas in the last 12 months. They were purchased by United, a company we work with. You know, very good friends of ours, Rick Haas and all those guys. They're all just longtime clients, people we've worked with, people I've done stuff with for years and years. And so I'm happy for them. You know, I really am. I'm genuinely happy for them. And now I'm curious, and this is going to drive me nuts right now, because I know the name. Who did Compass just acquire? And this is going to drive me insane. So, Ladder and Bloom. There we go. See, that's the beauty of having this right here.
See, I thought it was on the tip of my tongue. I would have never got that.
Yeah, Ladder and Bloom. Yeah, and their CEO, I think her name's Lacey or something. She did an interview with Byron actually on the BAM Media YouTube channel, and I thought it was a great interview. I was really impressed by her. I don't know her well, but I was really impressed by her. I actually sent her a message on Facebook, and I just said, "Hey, you don't know me, but I love the interview. I think you're fantastic and great job." And then she replied and said, "I do know you." And she said, "We just don't know each other. Thank you so much, blah, 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 whatever." And yeah, that was that. Nice. So yeah, very interesting. Just had, by the way, a similar conversation with the CEO of EXP. I've been liking, a lot of people don't know this, but I met with Glenn, who's the founder of EXP, way back, when he first was starting EXP. It was Concept. And I met with him and another guy, and he wanted to show me what they were doing and what, whatever, and, wanted a little help with endorsing it and promoting it and doing whatever. And I loved him. He was a great guy, but I ultimately decided not to, just because that'd be career suicide. I can't promote one brand over another. I promote my brand, but I help all the brands. I'm brand agnostic. So to see where they've gone has been amazing, but he just stepped down as CEO. Now he's chairman and he has other things, but they appointed a new CEO, Leo, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's like Pareja or something like that. And I've been liking what I'm seeing. I've been liking what I've seen him doing. I've been liking what I've been hearing from people as far as like, what they say about him as a guy. And I don't know him personally, but and I do this. By the way, you guys want to talk about relationships? I do this. I know just about every CEO in this industry, but him and I have never met. We never come across each other. And I saw something, somebody shared with me something that he wrote, and I thought it was great. And so I sent him a message. And I just said something like, I got it right here. I said, hey, you don't know me? I said, I'm a friend of Glenn's. And no need to respond or anything. I just said, want to let you know I saw what you've been doing. I think it's great. Keep up the great work. If you ever need help or you ever need help in any way, let me know. Like, just simple. Literally no expectation. I'm just like, hey, think you're doing something good. I like having good people in charge, right? And it seems like what he's doing is good. And I got almost an immediate response. Actually, I got it because I sent it late last night. And I got a response at 12:09 in the morning. And he's like, hey, we may not know each other, but I definitely know you, sir. Would definitely love to connect. Shoot me an email. Shoot me whatever. Let's coordinate calendars. Love to chat. And, guys, that's how relationships start. You come from a place of, when I was doing that, literally I was coming only from a place of, like, value. Like, hey, I just want to tell you I think what you're doing is great. I have no expectation of anything here. Just great. Think it's great, man. Like, you personally, what I see you putting out, great content. Keep it up. You seem like a stand-up guy. That's it. But conversation, right? It's how relationships are built. Okay. If you're not looking at your day and your day, I've said for years that don't be too busy to be productive. And when you start to look at your day, and we have all these formulas as coaches, 5-5-5, do this, 5 calls, this, that, all this other kind of stuff. At the end of the day, just pay attention to the principle, guys. How much of your day is actually set aside to simply nurture and proactively create new relationships? That's it. Like, you don't know which kernel is going to pop. You don't know, but if you're too busy to actually be productive, which the growth of your business will be in direct correlation to the number of relationships you proactively create. If you don't have a time of your day where that's all you're doing, then I'm telling you right now, you are what we define as too busy to ever actually be productive. And we have this whole thing about busy. I'm so important because I'm busy. I'm so important because I'm busy. Guys, I'm at a point now when I see somebody too busy, all I think is you're a bad delegator. I don't think you're important. I think you're a bad delegator, okay? The most important people I know, in many cases, they're ready on a dime. They're ready to go. Because that's what delegation does. It's not, you don't get things done and do more and build more things so that you can grow your importance or your level of busy, okay? You do it so that you can significantly increase your impact. And impact never comes from one person. It comes from many. And so when I see you busy, I don't think you're important. I think you're a bad delegator. And we need to fix that. And that's part of what we try to do for people. We try to help people fix that. We try to train people how to run a business so they can stop running around. And boy, do we have some things coming for you. Like I got some cool things, but I can't talk about it right now. Okay. On one hand, I'd sound crazy, and on the other hand, it's just not time. Speaking of crazy, there's been some crazy news that's come out lately. Just today, Tom, you probably don't even know about this. Just today, Bing, the big site, is like in. Let me see if I can pull this up. They just took down their real estate listings on their site. They didn't have the right to use them. We're talking a major Microsoft search, like.
How are they getting away with it for so long, though?
So it says, breaking. A little over a week after multiple industry leaders rang the alarm about Microsoft co-opting listing data from Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin, it seems the tech giant has removed the data from its Bing real estate platform. Searches for the for sale listings in some of the nation's top markets, including New York City, and I just did this in New York. New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, and Atlanta all yield the same answer. Oops, there are no results. So basically a bunch of industry leaders, because you have to have like the right to actually distribute these listings. And it can't come from a third party like Zillow. It's got to come from the MLS. Like, you know, they're the ones distributing this. And there were theories, there were thoughts out there for a while that they were using Zillow, they were using Redfin and not really telling anybody, but they were displaying that data and whatever. And after it got called on the floor recently, like in big podcasts and in a big way in our industry, and they started tagging Bing on Twitter and stuff, or on X, and saying, "Hey, what's your source? What's your data agreement?" That you all of a sudden somebody went, "Oh crap! I think they've caught on," and they took them down as of last night. Can we just crop this up to what? What? This is not some like little, you know. Bing, like Chandler Bing.
Yeah.
You like that?
That's not bad.
Like Chandler Bing. Microsoft. You know.
Whoops.
Who would have thought Bill Gates would get involved in anything that wasn't above board? That's a whole other conversation. The man who funds and is the largest investor in COVID shots, and then turns on it, sells all his shares, and turns on it, and immediately moves on to the next level of our COVID journey, and he's the main investor there. And it's just like, oh my God, dude, can you stop? Like, just, you know, God, I don't know, man. Some people get rich because they just serve people and they just deserve it. And then, you know, they fill a need. And then some people, they just have that thing for how to take advantage. And it's sad, but it still works. You know what I mean? It still works. It's unfortunate, but it still works. And anyway, they were displaying in a way that they weren't. And I'm interested to see where that goes, like what that means. You know, we'll see what happens there. Other big news in the industry. This was one of the shoes we were waiting to fall. You know, I had announced here on this podcast a couple months ago that when you look at these new rules with the NAR settlement, it posed a real issue for the majority of people going out to get loans, because places like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, these places, they have limits on the percent that you can concede within a transaction. And now that some buyers were going to have to ask the seller to concede their commission to them, because some sellers didn't think they needed to offer it out and the buyers didn't have the money to do it. This is not in every case, but it's a potential of what's happening. The problem is like, okay, well, if I needed money for the commission and you only allow 3%, well, if I get that for the commission, but I also needed money for closing costs, I also need money to take care of the house, I also needed money, well, now we're done. I can't buy anything. And so FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac all came out and said that a commission concession would not count towards that allowable percentage, but there still was an issue with VA, because a VA loan for veterans, they do not allow, it's not even allowed for a buyer to pay their agent. Not allowed. So it doesn't matter if these new rules go into effect and there's decoupling. It's like, well, not only, okay, can I not afford it? That's why I'm getting a 0% loan for serving our country. Wrap your head around that one. Ugh. Drives me crazy. Yep. Look, I'm not going to go on a rant. I do plenty of that on Insta and whatever. I'm not going to go on a rant, but I'm tempted, okay? But now, I can't buy, I'm not even allowed to pay my agent. Even if I had the money, I'm not allowed to. And so VA came out recently and said that they intend to put a temporary halt on that. But I never announced it on Instagram or these places because I was like, it hasn't actually been done yet. But now that has been formally done. They temporarily halted their rules around veterans paying their agent, which is a win and a loss. Let's be clear about something, guys. all of this talk about why is the seller paying the buyer's agent, they are not. Who is financing that property? Who is financing the price of that property? What is in the price of that property that's being financed? Commissions. Ding, ding, ding. Just one side or both sides? Both sides. So if the buyer is paying the price of the home, if the buyer is then financing the price of that home, that includes the commissions for both sides, who is paying the buyer agent's commission? The buyer. So all of this talk around why is the seller paying it just shows that you don't understand our industry. You saw some talking points, you watched Good Morning America, but you don't understand the industry. That's it. Yeah. So they now can pay, which is kind of a shame. You know, it's like, think about that. What other world could you change the rules halfway through our agreement? Meaning, I'm going to go to war for you. And as a result of me leaving my family, as a result of me building a career back at home where it's safe, and my biggest problem in a road is not an IED or it's a pothole. You tell me when I get home, I'm going to get to take over the American dream of home ownership at a 0% rate and put nothing down, but take a piece of the American dream that I just fought to protect. And now while I'm away overseas, away from my family and depressed and just thinking about you change the rules on me, in what world is that not only fair, but in what world is that right? It sickens me. It literally sickens me. Yeah. That's not a political issue. That's not a left. That's not a right. The only part of right that is right. Like it's right to do it. To not do it. It's right to not do it. It's right to give them what you promised them. But I digress because I'm not going to go on a rant. So that happened. There's a lot of questions in our industry. One of the most common questions I've been getting from people recently is, will the settlement increase the likelihood that dual agency is going to happen? We could go on a diatribe. The answer is yes. You know, in the early 90s, most people don't know the history of, where we're at right now. But, what we're going back to right now, one of the themes I'm looking at for the advance is back to the future.
Nice.
I'm like, everything that we have been talking about the last 3 years, 5 years, here it is. This is what we were telling you. Like, here it is. This is what you should have been focused on, right? And when you look at the early 90s, that's when agency was put in place. That's when you look at things like fiduciary responsibilities when they were put in place. That's when buyer agency was put into place because they didn't feel that it was right to have the seller's agent representing the buyer when the buyer really didn't have representation then. Because the seller's agent represents the seller. And so the buyer would be in this thing where it's like they are buying the largest property they've ever owned, but they don't have representation. And so, the government got involved and said, hey, that's not right. That's not fair. You both should have representation, okay? And now here we find ourselves, and all I can call it is 2024. And they go, no, you should not have representation. Just go right to the listing agent. Go right to the, and it's just like, so when you say, will dual agency, is it going to increase? Dual agency meaning that the listing agent is representing both sides? The answer to the question is yes. I had one of our coaches text me just last night, and he goes, I've done 4 times as many dual agencies so far this year than I've done in the last 8 years. And he goes, I like it for my pocketbook. I don't like it for the industry. He's like, I do not like this. It's not right. He's like, I'm going to take care of these people. I'm going to do my best. But there's no way I can look someone in the eye and say, hey, seller, I got you the highest price possible. Hey, buyer, I got you the best deal possible. How are both of those things true? Yeah. They're not both true. Like, they say that in a great negotiation, both sides feel like they lost, right? When you have a negotiation where one side has representation and one side does not have representation, I promise you there is a side that feels like they won. And that's unfortunate. And many times the other side doesn't even know they lost. That's not right, and that's not good for consumers. That's not fair. Hey guys, this podcast is brought to you by Jared James Enterprises, right? Coaching and training, guys. If you're watching this and you need coaching, you need training, you're in the real estate space. If you're a brokerage and you need overall training for your overall company, you're looking to hire someone, any of those types of things, we do it all. Make sure you just check out jaredjamestoday.com. Really try to stay on the cutting edge of everything that's going on in the industry. So coaching, training, you need accountability, guys. We know that 23% of people, 9% of people are going to reach their goals this year. 23% are going to stop within a week. 43% are going to stop within a month. You need to not only know your why, you need to understand how you're going to get there, and you need accountability to get there. So coaching and training, jaredjamestoday.com. This is also brought to you by Cleared and Closed. Okay, check out clearedandclosed.com. Clearedandclosed.com. We offer transaction management. No matter where you are in the world, we will create a custom list of different things that we'll do for you depending on what kind of a state, what kind of a province, what kind of a place you're in, a custom workflow for you. You'll have your very own transaction coordinator who is absolutely amazing. I'm telling you that you will love them. We're offering to you your first transaction for free. So if you're watching this, you're in real estate, you need to create leverage. You need to build that infrastructure that other people want to tell other people about. So we'll give you your first transaction free. Just mention this podcast. Get on that, do a consult, go to clearedandclosed.com. And last but not least, this podcast is brought to you by First Up with a Y, FYRSTUP.com. I'm not going to ask to hear that in a sentence or with a verb, but firstup.com, FYRSTUP.com. If you're watching this and you're a broker or you're an agent and you have a broker, especially right now, low inventory, all the things that are happening, people becoming more mobile, you need to have this at your in your tool belt. Everything right now about buyer agency and everything else going on. One of the number one ways that you can get someone to sign with you, sign a buyer agency agreement, is to provide more value. And what's better than to be able to say that you have a proprietary list of listings that nobody else has access to, which is what you have with First Up. You know, what First Up does is it really digitizes that traditional whiteboard, where all of those listings from the time where you sign them with the seller to the time that they hit the MLS, that time in between, you're allowed to promote those within the brokerage. And so what if you had a tool within your brokerage where every time those listings were added in that in-between time, it not only notified every agent in your office, but also buyer matched. And it let them know when they have a buyer who matches, and the listing agent lets them know there's a buyer with another one of the agents in your office that has somebody who matches that, and now you're able to cross-promote or and talk to each other and potentially sell that property earlier in a completely compliant manner, okay? So you're talking about, better communication, you're talking about double-ended deals, you're talking about a lot of things that are going to bring more ROI, return on investment, for such a small investment that First Up is. If you don't have it, somebody else in your area is going to get it. So FYRSTUP, firstup.com. Get on a consult, get that before your area is sold out. Now back to the show. So will it increase? Yeah, I think it will. Will agents make less or more? I think agents are going to make more, especially listing agents. I'm looking at like the focus of our advance this year. September 19th and 20th, Orlando, Florida. Things are going great. Ticket sales are up. Get on it, guys. I'm telling you, I'm spending day and night just working on content. Get there. You think you hear content on Instagram and this podcast? I'm holding stuff back because I'm like, yeah, we're going to do that there. That's what we're going to do. But we're going to teach buyer agency. We're going to teach how to work with buyers. We're going to teach how to get in front of them. We're going to teach the power of the open house now. We're going to teach all of that stuff. But man, the quickest way to win is to get the listing. Somebody said to me the other day, and they're like, so Jared, which is it? Should I just focus on listings or should I focus on buying now? Should I focus on buyers? Which is it? And to me, that question is like most questions people ask today, or like most answers. Everyone's so black and white that they think that the answer is or, but the answer is and. It's not this or that. It's this and that. I was talking to a client the other day about some upgrades we're looking at doing on First Up, FYRSTUP. And some crazy upgrades we're talking about doing, like adding some ancillary services on there so that brokerages can, make some money. Adding a trusted vendors portion where you can sell advertising, to people and limit how many Vendors are on there, so you can sell that, and you can sell the idea of not only do you need to be on here, but if you're not on here, your competitor is going to be, and now you make more money than you're spending to us for the app on top of the ROI that it brings to your brokerage. But we were going over these two things, and they were like going back and forth between these two. And I said, guys, I just want to be clear about something. This isn't or. This is and. We're just saying which one first, you know? This is something that like our world needs to understand right now. And like if you're out there, I was gonna say if you're like a youngin' out there listening to me, like a young person, but even like the adults, especially in a political season we're in right now, guys, two things can be true at the same time. Like our society is so lacking for wisdom right now. We are overfed with knowledge. Knowledge is so available. I can go on here right now, like I just did. What was the name of the whatever? Got it. Mm-hmm. Got it. Knowledge is a commodity. It's nothing. Most of our schools are useless right now. Teaching knowledge. It does nothing for anybody. Knowledge is a commodity now. It's easily attainable by anybody. You know, AI, just go and grab it. Just go and, and there's an advantage to that. But you can't AI wisdom. Wisdom is a different thing. It is. That's grown-up stuff. That's grown-up knowledge. Now it's knowledge applied. It's a different thing. And, when we look at the world as we see it now and all these changes happening in the industry and the fact that we're in election season and everyone's going to lose their minds, I hate this. I hate this time every 4 years. I did a video the other day. Oh, yeah. So I did a video the other day. And my head wasn't even thinking like this. I just said, we were talking about how the DOJ came out and said that they don't think that offers of compensation should be allowed anywhere. Anywhere. Now, if that stuff starts happening with this DOJ, this Department of Justice, nothing that this settlement has in it is going to matter, because the DOJ is going to override that. And so I talked about how the DOJ came out and said, we don't think this settlement went far enough. This is the real one you got to worry about is the DOJ, because there's no checks and balances on them. There's no appeal process with them. They are Gestapo. They are, okay? And they've come out and said, I don't believe offers of compensation should be anywhere in the name of transparency. Such a joke. I said in this video, telling us you're taking away all the information in the name of transparency is like spraying me with a hose to dry me off. Are we that dumb? We just say things enough and we believe it? And I said at the end of this, with this reel, this video, I said, where do I think this goes? And I was literally speaking from a place of fact. It wasn't political at all. I was just like, hey, it's election season. If this administration stays in, then this is probably going to move forward. This NWMLS, which decided to not follow the rules and say, we're not under the NAR agreement. We are showing offers of compensation. That's what's best for our buyers. That's what's best for our consumer. That's not advantageous to buyers for us not to do that. We're going to do what's in the best interest of our consumer. They came out and said that. And people were like, well, is the DOJ going to go after them? And I said, hey, it's an election season. This DOJ has already stated their desires. They've stated what they care about, and they do not want compensation anywhere. So if this administration comes in, I'm like, that NWMLS, Northwest MLS, is probably going to hear from the DOJ, just because this DOJ has already said they're not for that. I said, if it's a different administration, if it's that means that they bring in different people into the DOJ, meaning different officers, different whatever, they're not gonna carry the cross of the last DOJ. They're going to have their own things they care about. So they'll probably leave them alone. And that's just a statement of fact. Whenever you have a turnover of people in any organization, you've got the things that matter to the old, and you got the things that matter to the new. And usually the new want to make their own name. And by the way, they go after their own stupid things in the new administration. They'll go after their own dumb things. They'll go after things that we're angry about over there. I'm just saying they probably won't chase after the stuff that mattered to the last DOJ. And so I say that, and I'm like, if it's the same people, they'll probably hear from that DOJ. If it's new people, it's going to be, if it's a new administration, probably new people in the DOJ, so they'll most likely, go after different causes that are dumb, whatever. And all of a sudden, I start seeing the comments. I liked you till I realized you were stumping for Trump. And then I'm just like, my God, that was not even in my head. And like literally, that's a fact. What I said, a fact. I'm not saying which administration is good or bad. I'm saying they both go after dumb things. If you guys remember a couple podcasts ago, I said they're all eyes to me and not independent. They're idiots. I'm not for them. Like, whatever. But all that does is shine a mirror on other people about just how stupid they get during this time, where everything for them is political. Everything is a threat to their whatever. Everything. Oh my God, I don't want to live like that. I can't live like that. I've been around people like that. I'm just like, guys, okay. I was around someone the other day and they were trying to get going. And I'm losing interest. And I just said, they were trying to see what side I was on, see if I can. They were not on. They were. Nobody's pro Biden. They were pro the other side of Trump. And they were trying to see if I was going to defend. And I finally just looked at them and I said, dude, I'm sorry, man. I don't care. I'm not here to defend that one or that one. None of them are defendable. I don't know what to tell you. Well, you must have it doesn't matter, man. I'm like, really, if you're living your life every day, like thinking that this little debate we're going to have right now is going to matter, it doesn't. I'm just not going to do that. I have a certain amount of currency with this time. I have a certain amount of hours and minutes, and you've just taken the last 2 minutes just explaining this to you, and I'm good. I don't care. We're not solving world hunger right now, okay? We're not making these people better people, Like we're not going to, all of a sudden make Biden cognizant or make, Trump less of a narcissist. Like, it's not going to happen. These are your options, okay? And so, my point is that, like, when you start to look at this, people don't understand, like, wisdom. Like, wisdom tells you, bird's eye view, guys, focus on your life. Focus on your life. I've said it over and over again. If your business, if your life is determined, by which jackass gets in office, you might as well get into a coffin and wait, because you don't have much control over your life, apparently. I'm not living that way, okay? That's just not. And so wisdom, guys, wisdom is grown-up stuff. Wisdom is maturity. Wisdom understands that in many cases it's and, not or, that two things can be true at the same time. Wisdom has empathy. Wisdom understands that even if you don't agree, you understand why you don't agree and why somebody else came to a different conclusion. It doesn't make them a bad person. They just think a little different. They were raised a little different. They've had different personal experiences than you. They've got different things that matter. They've got different... That's cool. That's what makes things awesome. I've said many times, if you saw my friend group, like, I got flaming libs. I've got redneck conservatives. I've got everything in between. I just want good people. If you're a douchebag, it's not because you're white, black, Christian, Muslim. Like, guys, I'm dating a Middle Eastern girl, only for the street cred and the jokes, and hoping her skin tone, just rubs off on me a little bit. But I don't want to go into all that stuff. I just want to basically say we're going into a crazy time of the year right now where just everybody's going to lose their minds. And I think some of us just need to step back and remember the things that we love about people and not get pulled into just the craziness that's coming. It's not worth it. You don't have to buy a ticket to everybody's circus. Let them be the bearded woman. Let them play with lions. Let them, you don't gotta mess with that circus. You're responsible for you at the end of the day. And so it's and, not or. To the beginning of this conversation, to land the plane on it, you got to master getting the listings and you got to master representing buyers. Okay. Now, winning the listing is going to win you every time, no doubt about it. But it is and, not or. Now, let's talk about another thing that came up yesterday that really did enrage me. NAR came out and released a statement and said that the settlement eliminates steering. Could pause on that. Was there steering in our industry? I mean, 1.5 million members. I'm sure some did it. Who in the world in 2024, when buyers have access to all data, is able to steer a buyer? Like, What are we talking about? But the settlement, and by the way, I feel for NAR because they are getting just litigated into being afraid to say anything or do anything. I mean, look, as much as you want to kill NAR, which I know a lot of you are doing right now, why don't you pay out $418 million and see how much you become a yes-and boss? Like, you know, like you'll just, yep, okay, whatever, okie dokie, you know, like just no more money, you know? I don't think a lot of people realize, like, there's an out clause on this settlement that happened. This settlement's for 7 years. And if the attorneys find anyone who's not following it, they're going to trigger that clause, and it's going to be a lot more than $418 million. So as much as I disagree so wholeheartedly with the statements that NAR is making right now, I also understand. You know, it's like Chris Rock did that routine. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand. You know, he does a whole thing on that, you know? Yeah, I think in that same routine he goes, if your daughter is wearing goldfish in her high heels, you effed up. He's like, if your daughter's on the pole, you effed up. He goes, oh, God. 20 seconds you'll never get back. But anyway, so NAR releases this statement, and they say that the settlement eliminates steering and makes the amount, this is what infuriated me, makes the amount of compensation a listing broker or seller offers to the buyer's agent irrelevant. Come again? The amount of compensation. What world are we living in where compensation doesn't matter? Tom, I'd like to renew you for next year. I don't know if I'm going to give you 1 cent for the year or 1 million. Shouldn't matter. You better work the same.
Doesn't matter.
You understand?
Doesn't matter.
Otherwise, something wrong with you.
That's right.
Something wrong with you. Because compensation, you heard it. I mean, it's 2024, guys. You say it enough, it's true. You don't care about compensation, do you?
No, of course,
and if you do, you're
not.
a bad person.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then when you go to buy things like a home, and they say it's $700,000, you go, money shmoney?
Doesn't matter.
Let me tell you about my compensation. I make exactly 7 cents a year at Jared James Enterprises, and he told me I'm all good to go, and that I would not have these issues.
So.
Because money, cost, price doesn't matter. You know, the reason when I was a kid, by the way, and we never went out to eat. I never had an appetizer until I was an adult. I didn't know you were supposed to be full by the time the food came out. The reason that we would go, though, to places like Denny's and not Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, it's not because of money.
Right.
Because money doesn't matter. What you pay does not matter. Right. Does not matter. Say it enough times, guys. It's true. Compensation doesn't matter unless you're a bad person and you're steering someone. That must be the only reason that compensation would matter. When builders want to sell their house and they give out an extra bonus, $5,000, $10,000, I don't know why. Compensation doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, in the words, irrelevant. What? What are we saying? Like, God. Ever since the settlement, compensation is irrelevant. Is it irrelevant to the buyer?
Clearly.
If the buyer is going into a home for $700,000 and they have a buyer agency agreement with their agent for 3%, it's $21,000. You don't think the buyer wants to know something being offered here? A little bit being offered? Or all being offered?
Well, that would be classified as irrelevant.
Okay, so let's just be clear. So, $700,000 house. Mm-hmm. You've signed a buyer agency for 3%, $21,000. Seller says I'm not paying any compensation. $21,000 cash out of the buyer's pocket. Irrelevant?
Yep.
They say they'll pay 2%. You're on the hook for $7,000 that you were not anticipating. Irrelevant.
Very.
What freaking world are we living in? How do you say that? How? My American Indian roots are coming out right now. How?
Jesus.
My mother's last name is Youngblood, for everybody wondering. That's actually a true story.
That is true.
Yeah. So
that is true.
We got them Indian roots. And Braveheart roots. And many other roots. I'm a mutt.
Yeah.
how? Like, I don't, how can you come out and say that it is irrelevant? How much more can we kick these? I hear people going, oh, nothing's really changed yet, or nothing, whatever. Guys, when that all goes into effect and you have sellers actually not offering out, I don't think it's going to be as many as we think it is. I really don't. I think that things are going to be pretty status quo. It might come through the form of, some kind of an offering, a concession. It might be in the traditional form, but there's going to be people who don't. What are we saying to these buyers who are now like, well, I can't buy now. Like, I don't have that money. Like, okay, I guess I'm out of the market. Or I can't, here you go. They're worried about offers of compensation allowing the agent to steer the buyer. You know who's actually going to steer? The buyer. Yeah. Because the buyer is going to be like, oh, we have these 6 houses. 4 of them offer compensation. 2 of them don't. Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I can't pay you out of pocket that much. So I'm going to steer myself to these 4 and ignore those 2. And now those 2 are not going to get the same exposure they would have gotten. And now, what liability is on that agent for the seller that didn't let them know that by not offering, they have a fiduciary responsibility to that seller to let them, part of their fiduciary responsibility, guys, go look it up, is to let that seller know anything that could potentially impact the price they get or the terms they accept. So I'm hearing from everybody that when you tell a seller that you could be at a competitive disadvantage if you don't offer out, they're like, well, that's steering. Okay, so then what about the lawsuit from the seller to the agent afterwards who doesn't get the price they want? And they go, you didn't fulfill your fiduciary responsibility to me. You didn't tell me that could potentially leave a percentage of the market out, that exposure, that demand, and now my price goes. You didn't tell me that. Is that the next wave of lawsuits? Do you know what I hate when I say stuff like this is that I know it's going to come true. I say this stuff, and I'm like, I don't want it to come true, but here I'm going to be 12 months from now going, guys, remember a year ago when I said that? Here you go. Like, it's happening now. Like, that's what's happening.
100%.
Ugh, drives me crazy. It drives me crazy right now. Like, it absolutely... Offers of compensation are irrelevant. I'm having nightmares about that.
That's wild.
I mean, look, we can paint the corners and try to like be careful and try to, but could we not make idiotic statements that are just not true, that we all know aren't true, that are just flaming your membership to go, are you on our side? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's so not true. But they're being litigated into saying what it is they feel like they have to say to not be relitigated. That's the truth right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I know these people, guys. I know the behind-the-scenes people. I know that's what's happening. So you're getting angry at them, but they really have no choice. You know, it'd be like if, somebody took someone you loved and put them on camera, put them on a FaceTime, and they call you, and it's your wife, and she's like, Tom, I want a divorce. I don't love you anymore. And you're going, what? We just had dinner. We're doing great. No, it's terrible. I don't like you. I don't love you. I don't whatever. And what you don't realize, there's a guy off to the side with a gun to her head. And you're going, this isn't even you. Why are you saying that? That makes no sense. This is stupid. You know it's stupid. And she's going, no, it's true. It's true. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Is that they got the gun to their head of litigation, more litigation. And that's not their fault. That's a failure of our country. That's a failure of our system that we allow that kind of nonsense. That you can litigate people into submission. And that's what's happening. You remember my interview with Kevin Sears, NAR president? Everybody's going, why'd you settle? You're supposed to defend us. Why'd you settle? He goes, because our options were to settle or to go bankrupt. They were just going to keep litigating. There was going to be no end. We are litigating people into submission, and that is disgusting. That as a country, we fight so many other things, but we're still allowing that to happen. You know why? Because all the people who make these rules, all the people that make these laws, these senators, whatever, what's their job in real life before they get there? An attorney. Yep. So you think they're going to go after the legal world? Do you think they're going to go after other attorneys and say, this is wrong, you're wronging our country? They're going, no, you're one of us, I can't go after you.
Oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
the ultimate lobbyist. It's my friends. And it's such bullcrap. It's not okay.
Nope.
Anyway. And it's crazy because I had a conversation last year with one of our large brokerage clients. They have a few thousand members, and I'm talking to this person who runs it. And she's like, Jared, we just need clarity. We need clarity for the industry. And I said, I'm with you. And she's like, we rely on people like you to do whatever. I'm like, I'm with you. I said, but I can't in good conscience do like the news media that we all say we don't trust, where in an effort to be first, I just say whatever. There's just too much dust being kicked up by outside forces right now for me to really move forward and go, okay, here's the plan now. Because every time you think you have a plan moving forward, the rules change again. Or then the DOJ comes out. Or then and so I'm formulating that right now. I'm formulating for our students. I'm formulating for the advance. But I also can't, in a rush to be first, be wrong. We need to let this dust settle, kind of get a clear picture before we can have any real confidence of like, okay, here's where we need to go, and here's why we need to do it, and here's why, So it's a weird time, guys. My time right now has been spent, as I said, just getting ready for the advance. I'll share this. I won't share the exact, but I'll share this. I'm like rethinking the whole way that like coaching and training is done in our industry. I can say that.
I think you can.
Yeah.
I think you just did.
I know.
So.
I can say that. I think that as an industry, people like me and other leaders in the industry, we talk about consumers and we talk about agents and we talk about how much change there's been and we talk about how you need to pivot to it and you need to be ahead of it and you need to whatever. And then when you look at the way that we actually train and coach people in our industry, other than going from telephone calls to video, there hasn't been that much change. And I've kind of made it my thing that I'm going to change that. We're gonna make sure that people are getting what they need. They're being the pros. They're getting the training they need. They're getting the accountability they need in a way that fits the world we live in. And so that's all I'll say about that. That's part of what I'm doing behind the scenes right now that I'm super excited about. So many other things, guys. Our advanced membership right now, our advanced attendees right now is looking really good. God, I can't stress it enough. I say it all the time, guys. September 19th and 20th, Orlando, Florida. You need to get there. This is a pivotal one, and this is one where you're gonna learn what you need to learn to deserve to be one of the successful agents moving forward. You're gonna learn what it is you need to learn. You're gonna take in what it is you need to take in. You're gonna observe what you need in order to deserve to be one of those that is successful moving forward. Because if your game plan, if your blueprint is the same as it was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, well, then you've got an out-of-date blueprint. You got an out-of-date game plan right now. So we're going to really go deep dive into what that means. And then, my God, we're 10-year anniversary. We're hiring a band right now. We're going to have a bash Friday night. Friday night, September 20th. By the way, if you already have your tickets to the advance, some of you don't know this. You got to buy the ticket to the 10-year bash. It's only $49, guys. When you look at our ticket prices, it's additional to go to the bash because not everybody stays for it. Hopefully most of you will. But it's an open bar. It's a band. It's going to be an absolute blast. So if you've already got your tickets and you haven't bought that ticket for $49, that 10-year celebration bash, you need to get that ticket. That's going to be an absolute blast. Mm-hmm. I'm so looking forward to that, especially because it'll all be over. We're still doing, by the way, guys, the reception for our one-on-ones. We'll still be doing that. And then we'll go straight from that party over to the bash. It's going to be a bash.
It's just going to be party to party.
Yeah, says the guy who doesn't even drink, Tom.
That's right.
Well, he drinks, but
yeah, Shirley Temples.
Water. Shirley Temples.
Water, yep. Coca-Cola.
That's me right now, by the way.
Shirley Temples?
No, I won't drink Shirley Temples. Too much sugar.
Wow.
But no, I am... it was so funny. Linda said to me, she listened to the podcast with me and Dan, and she goes, "You sounded like an alcoholic." That's not fair how I said that mean. I didn't mean that mean. She said it like a joke, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you guys are just talking about how you come in and it's just drinks this, drinks that. And I'm like, we actually really did not even drink a lot. Sometimes we get together and it's a bash. But that's not like a normal life thing. That's not whatever. But no, we really didn't. We honestly did a lot of work. We really did. We got a lot of stuff done. We did a lot of work. We, I don't know. I think we had this hyped up like we were gonna, go live it up and Animal House style, and we did not.
Happens.
Yeah. But I don't mind.
Yeah.
But I've got a trip coming up to Arizona in a few weeks, and I am almost like I was before Mexico. I'm on my nothing.
Yeah.
No cheat days, no alcohol, staying away from that sugar, working out every day. I'm on it. I'm bout it.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Anyway, anything else we need to add to this?
I don't think so. I mean, come to the advance for sure. I mean,
JaredJamesToday.com/advance.
Yeah. I mean, so that way you're here for the 20-year bash in the next 10 years.
I'll be even older. Oh, you know what I just thought
Right.
of?
That
I
is
didn't.
how time works.
I think. Look, I spent the whole podcast previous to the one with Dan, bashing myself, saying what a terrible podcast interviewer I was, which is just true. Like, I'm just getting better at it because my head works in a way. I watched the one with Dan, and I was occasionally but I was like a game of jump rope. I was staying out.
There you go.
I mean, I thought I did all right.
We're always learning.
Yeah. Well, I don't hear you agreeing that you thought I did all right. I hear you saying always learning.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, that's better than whatever. Linda told me I did well.
That's
She
all
said
that
she saw my
matters.
fingers going like this, like I had stuff in my head, but I'm like, just turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Tell me more. Like I was like Grease. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
And then when it was finally your turn, he was like, "Ah!"
Yeah. What am I, the Mask?
5 things. to say.
Yeah. What was that? Liar. What was the one where he just does like when he's doing the.
Evan Almighty?
Oh yes, there it is. With the
Not
whatever.
Evan
Yeah.
Almighty. Bruce Almighty.
Yes, I
Bruce
think
Almighty.
nobody can tell the difference. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I almost was like
Can't believe I
that.
said Evan Almighty.
But I wanted and look, we went almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And other than the first 5-10 minutes, I said almost nothing. I
That's
was just
true.
like, hey, let me hear from you.
That was a long one.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wanted or expected it to go that long.
By the way,
Not wanted, expected.
Dan and I were talking. He's like, that flew by. He's like,
did.
how did it go that long? I was like, Dan, we would have gone longer. We had to get to yours.
Yeah.
We cut it off because I was going to go longer. I had so many more things. Well, it's a good thing he's going to be at the advance,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk about these
Another
things.
reason to go.
Yeah, and by the way, Dan is we're gonna break into that whole contacts are worthless, relationships are priceless, conversation. We're gonna get into that whole thing. How is it that you revive the people in your database, which is really where the gold is. And then he's also talking about potentially doing a session on the psychology of people buying and the different levels of psychology and how you get them to move them. And Dan is such a good guy to teach that.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that stuff in and out. And, like, it's one of those things when you listen to that, when you go to that session. I think I'm going to do that session. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it as a breakout or as a main stage. But when you go to that and you hear it, you're just sitting there going, what did I not know all this time?
Yeah.
I'm just there trying to relate with people and be friendly. And meanwhile, you got guys like him coming in, and they're like, no, I own your mind. You're like, I want to own their mind.
Yeah.
I want to, and it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the psychology is real, okay? And so he's going to be doing that there, and it'll change the way that you deal with people and sales and close people, and it's so powerful. It's worth it. The trip is worth it just for that.
Honestly.
So cool. But anyway, that's all I got. As always, guys, make sure you go to connectwithjared.com, connect on the social platforms. If you're not in any of our programs, jaredjamestoday.com. We're training tens of thousands of people every day. This podcast allows me to give a little bit more of my personality, have some fun. It's not the as professional. Of course, when am I really? Even on stage, I'm kind of myself everywhere.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dan and I were talking about Grindr. I don't generally.
3 to 4
Although
times,
I have
think.
brought up Tinder from stage.
That is true.
I've talked about our industry. We're eHarmony, not Tinder.
Well, that's good.
You need the lifetime value.
Yeah.
You're looking for the relationship, not the
I wonder who Tinder would be.
one time. That's most agents,
Oh,
because they just one sale and out.
I see.
Next.
See, I got it now.
Yeah. Thank you for understanding. Anyway, guys, we love you. A lot of things going on. I think, as you've noticed, we're doing this pretty consistently now. I'm going to be doing this just about every single week. We're going to schedule time and get in here and do this just about every single week. We got a ton of other content coming out. There's just so much stuff to do in preparation for the advance. We've got some really cool partners lined up that are going to be sponsoring the podcast and such. We went a long time without doing that. We're going to do a little bit of that moving forward, only with people that I absolutely believe in, because I think part of my role is to define the problem, the solution, but then also to give you the tool that does that solution. Make it easy for you, you know? So with that being said, guys, stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. We love you. Have a good one.
See you.